When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need: Maconi.
With the launch of Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Competizone alongside Maconi Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MaconiSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Well, hello and good evening, everybody. Welcome back here to Maconi Entertainment, and welcome back to the Friday Night Lights Xfinity Series. This is race number 20 of the season, coming to you today from Dover. My name is Ron Mullins. Alongside me, working the comms and the cams, is Howie Burrows. Well, Howie, we are here at the track at the most wonderful place in the whole wide world, Dover, Delaware, a land of wonder and mystery around the track with Miles the Monster. This 1 mile long track, this concrete bowl, whatever you want to refer to it, there's truly nothing like it in the world, which can be a blessing or a curse if you're a fan of this place or if you absolutely despise it.
Tires will get shredded on the high banks. I do love this place, but it's a hard one to get around in one piece against that concrete surface. No matter what the temps are, no matter what the conditions, you often find yourself slipping and sliding and shredding everything you have on the cheese grater around there, but the high banks make it a real challenge. It's fun out here. I always love it, even if I suck at it.
Yeah, and Dover is a rather interesting track in its own regard. You got the banking heading down the straightaways. It's a self-cleaning racetrack, this. And whenever I think of weird history when it comes to Dover, obviously NASCAR, a fixture of this place. IndyCar actually ran 3 races here, one back in the 60s, and then 2 more back in 1998 and 1999. And the race never really materialized after that because the cars were being shaken to death. This is not a smooth track by any means whatsoever. It's one of the tracks on the NASCAR schedule and one of the tracks on this schedule here for Friday Night Lights that I've actually visited in real life, but it's a challenging one. You can see with that failed pit entry here in this warm-up session that we're currently in the midst of right now. But I got the opportunity to go to this track here back in 2016. It was not on a race day. Well, it was on a race day, but I was participating in a karting event in the parking lot on the outside of the track, right by where Miles the Monster is. That was roughly where we were parked in the small little paddock area that we had. But Dover, it's technically my home track, technically speaking. I am just about halfway in between Pocono and Dover. But this track is one, it's like Marmite. You either love it or you absolutely hate it with a burning passion.
What if you love it but you can't drive it and you still dread it like the final boss? That just put you somewhere in the middle between the 2 categories, because that's where I'm at on here. It's a real skill tester, it's a real fun challenge, and also it wrecks my car into the wall every single time. There's nothing that can be done about that.
Yeah, I mean, this is... I'm not really sure what to make of this track just ever, As someone who's gotten the opportunity to visit this track in person, who's seen many a NASCAR race here, has seen the IndyCar races that were on here back in the 90s, I'm not really sure what to make of this track. But, very good reason why I'm behind the microphone instead of behind the wheel. This is not my challenge to tackle here tonight. I don't have to worry about that, but we do have a fantastic race to look forward to here for race number 20 of this 33-round championship. Stages tonight going to be at the end of lap 45 and the end of lap 90. 4 tires, that's a lot to these racers. And of course, as usual, the 17x limit here in the FLC world. But with everything taken care of and us talking about this track to a certain length, I think we can take a look at the starting grid for this evening's race. It'll be Charles Velasquez Jr. starting this race from the pole position in that number 64 Team Conti car. Joining him on the front row will be Johnny Avila. Only 0.03 of a second between those racers at the end of qualifying. It'll be Bryson Hexenball starting this race in P3 alongside Kyle Amon in 4th. Looking right behind them on the third row will be Cameron Stone and Mark Paget. And then right behind them on the fourth row of this starting grid is going to be Noah Woods and Timothy Cook. You can see those two racers lining up in P7 and P8. And rounding at your top 10 will be Hunter Truel and Jim Shoefield.
Just one under 30 cars today. Adam Benefield sits 11 next to Tanner Marty. Connor Cunningham is in 13th next to Raymond Root. Eric Wineland lines up next to Joseph McQuarter. Brandon Hastings next to Austin Evie. And Tim Phillips next to Mason Lowry. 9 to go.
And looking through the rest of the starters, Jason S. Taylor, he's usually the other race control guy, so I don't think we'll be seeing him take the start. We will be seeing Daniel Wallen in the 07 car, though, start this race from P22. It'll be Michael Deach in 23rd, alongside Steve Benjamin in 24th. It'll be Cody Bird in the lucky number 13 car with the Eagles' nice paint scheme. Very, very nice. And someone I've never heard of starting alongside.
I think I might have clicked one or two too many buttons in the wrong places, you know. I think, and who knows, maybe Miku will hit the grid one day. Well, we do have a track, thankfully, so if I could just work out how to hide the background in the software that I use daily, we can hit the track. Very much get approaching that one to green point. We do have about 29 cars in the grid, a few end of lines, but that is a lot of cars to pack onto the grid.
Oh, it absolutely is. Ken Ron, Brian Workman, and Rory Collins, some of the last starters here in this race. A race that's set to be a barn burner. It's going to be a fun one for sure. These racers have a lot of challenges to look forward to here tonight for race number 20 of the Friday Night Lights Xfinity Series. That pace car has made the turn to come down pit lane. The field now in the hands of our pole sitter, Charles Velasquez Jr. as the green flag is out and the drivers are on their way. Looking like a pretty even keel start as they head their way down into turn number 1 and 2. Already seeing some racers run a little bit on the high side, others hugging that apron as they head their way down the backstretch with a wall scrape a little bit farther in the back. It is still Velasquez Jr. who leads.
There's no space to breathe around this track. You'll very, very quickly find. It looks like a bit of a run for P1 here. It's Velasquez Jr. on the outside. Johnny Avila making a dive down to the inside, and once you settle into your groove here, you're really going to just want to think about keeping your car to yourself and keeping your tires in good stead. Tim Kick Jr. washed very wide. He's doing it again. I think he's trying to drive this one a bit differently already.
Yeah, let's just see how it all shake out for these racers. Now we're officially 100th of a way into this race. A little bit over that now as we start to push lap number 3. Again, a view of the grandstands here. I'm not entirely sure if we can show that on the air, but Johnny Avila leads over Charles Velasquez Jr., Bryson Hixenball, the 6-time race winner up to this point here in this season, rounds at top 3 as it stands presently. So a little bit side-by-side racing going on a little bit farther in the back. That, I believe, unless I'm very much mistaken, I can see right there. There you can see him right in front of Hunter Truel. Timothy Cook Jr. in that monster car. You can see him. He had a bit of a wall tap coming out of that exact same section that we just saw Noah Woods scrape. He's been running on that high side ever since the drop of the green flag. Clearly being comfortable up there, even with that big wall tap coming out of 1 and 2 at the very start of this race.
I'm feeling the way that Timothy Cook Jr. here is just running higher in all the turns. Now, drivers really want, usually it's very typical to diamond the corner on this track, sort of get the straight line in, get the straight line out. Timothy Cook Jr. is running a lane off the wall. It's a little bit different. I don't know if he's just trying to carry momentum early or whether this is how he's practiced the track, but this is very much a track about keeping in your own head and not making horrible mistakes.
Yeah, make sure you can keep running your own race and not have a falling anvil come down to fall on your head. I think that's a good strategy call to run through at this race as we see these drivers burning their way down into 3 and 4, and there goes the camera. 6 laps in, coming to 7 this time by for Johnny Avila, who still continues to lead this race over Charles Velasquez Jr. in P2. Now, Velasquez Jr. did have a race win a little bit earlier on this season, that coming at another very peculiar oval track, roughly the same length as this. It was Phoenix a little bit earlier on in this season where Charles Velasquez Jr. was able to grab that checkered flag. So let's see if lightning will strike twice and he'll be able to get the job done at another rather bizarre oval track. You know, in terms of shape, it looks just about normal, but every single characteristic of that is a little bit strange.
This is the weird part of the NASCAR schedule. I mean, at least we're turning left again. At least we're running out as ever. Mason Lowry had a bit of a drop down near the back. Those are 24 cars that hit the grid. Those ones near the back, and we don't talk about those. Those didn't really exist. They were just figment of your imagination. But you really, we're still in a weird part of the schedule. You know, this is just a track that, especially with the concrete on the surface, that's just such a massive difference. And it's not just that it's bumpy. You mentioned that it's bumpy, but also the way it breaks down those tires. It's fundamentally different than asphalt, and it's kind of terrifying.
Yeah, concrete and asphalt, two entirely different surfaces to run on. They act differently. They build up temperature a little bit differently as well. There's just so many differences between one and the other that you can draw some similarities between, but outside of that, it is a completely different animal in its own regard. As someone who got the opportunity to run kart races on both surfaces, I can tell you that one of the main reasons why I was never able to do too terribly well, at least by my standards, at this one track was down to the fact that we ran on concrete throughout the entirety of it, compared to most of the tracks that I would run out here on the East Coast that were just solely asphalt. It has a completely different feel to it, so these racers will have to get adjusted to that challenge as we see Cody Bird making that run to come down pit lane, the Eagles car. Unfortunately, the wings got plicked off it a little bit. Not sure whether or not there's damage on that car or what the deal is. Are seeing some pit stops, though, in the early stages of this first stage. And a reminder, folks, stages run for 45 laps here for the first two, running to the end of lap 45 and the end of lap 90 for our stage breaks here tonight, folks.
Ignore the 49.
I wonder if these
I don't know what I was
will
thinking.
It's quite all right. Don't worry. I was never too great in math class. That's why whenever I run the conversion from Celsius to Fahrenheit, whenever I do some other broadcasts, I usually end up with a conclusion that's about 22 degrees Celsius and 795,000 degrees Fahrenheit. So don't worry, it happens to the best of us. Actually, looking at those track temperatures right now, it's 75 degrees ambient and 95 Fahrenheit. As someone who lives in the city of Philadelphia, I gotta say, Dover getting the better end of the stick when it comes to weather here in the city of Philadelphia. It has been boiling. I am very happy that I'm actually being able to do this broadcast because for most of this summer, I have been a puddle.
Britain's been no better, let me tell you that. But there's a benefit to being on the coast, you know. You get the breeze, you get the wind, and that wind is probably enough to knock you off the track entirely. There's Jim Schofield here trying to hold off Turvey Cook Jr. and Adam Benefield, who are running side by side. Junior's given everybody at that bottom line, so that's probably just helping him sort of fly on by. Maybe he's thinking about his long-run race and not really trying to play too much of battling right now. Mark Paget all over the rear of Cameron Stone, though, almost trying to push him down these straights. There's not enough space for a push here.
Yeah, now when I think of tracks that are conducive to bump drafting or just bumping, period, I don't really think of Dover, as Cameron Stone really starting to struggle. You can see a little bit of a wall scrape as he headed his way out of 1 and 2. Not the ideal line at all for sure, but let's see how these racers will be able to run it throughout the rest of this stage. Charles Velasquez Jr. leads over Johnny Avila. Those two drivers covered by just about nothing, essentially nose to tail, as they head their way through 1 and 2 a little bit farther up the road. We run on board with the 0-2 car, though, of Mark Paget. Paget looking to get a good run of form before the start of those playoffs here in the not too far off future. He's had his struggles over the past couple of weeks, but that 0-2 driver looking to bounce back.
I think some of that damage is being caused by connection problems from the car in fourth. He's been blinking in and out a couple times. Meanwhile, up front, Avila's traded places with Velasquez Jr. again. They did this earlier in the race. They've done it again, and now Avila keeps the lead of the race.
So swapperoo going on yet again between Johnny Avila and Charles Velasquez Jr. Probably going to see that yet again between now and the fall of the checkered flag here in stage number 1. That blinking at, though, from Cameron Stone. It was very interesting riding with Mark Paget there. You could just see some random bodywork bits and all sorts of stuff flying off the back of that 57. But hopefully we won't have to worry about that car getting yoinked off the track as a result of those connection problems. Here's the 81 of Brandon Hastings. We follow him right now, slotted in P12. And yes, it is P12. Yes, Cameron Stone, his blinking in and out is giving our graphics a little bit of a panic attack, mainly because his internet is currently having a panic attack. But here's Hastings, the number 81 car, currently slotted in at 12. Thought we were going to see a battle with himself and Noah Woods, who's right behind him and right in front of Timothy Cook Jr., who's dropped down like a rock, frankly. But it looks like he's been able to shake off that challenge like a bad case of fleas. Running in P12 at the moment all by himself.
I'm just watching some of these drivers as they run around, and there's so little trying to outsmart somebody else at one point. This is I mean, NASCAR's always tire defined, so what am I saying? But this is a NASCAR tire defined race, just in regards to just how much they die. The next gens have been in iRacing, hitting 0% and blowing out on the banks of this track. So these cars, thankfully, they slide a little bit more. They're a little bit more receptive to you, but that is how brutal this place is. And it's why we're going to see people sort of opportunistically, my words are doing great today, let me tell you that, make those moves, but they're going to do it when there's a tire delta. It's not going to be a track where you can really send it on someone to get a position. It's going to be very single file, and it's going to be very hope you can keep those tires under you. Later in the race, both lanes open up around here, but right now, you want to hit to that bottom and try and diamond as hard as you can.
And I will say this, and this is honest, this racetrack is not one that is good for tire life at all. You know, you got the bumps, you got the undulation. This track is not a smooth one at all, and it's not just the driver that's feeling it, the tires are feeling it as well. I can't even say this track is a cheese grater for tires. I feel like you'd be better off getting a Goodyear off of one of these cars and shooting at with a long rifle than running here on a long stint, as something bad must have happened with Bryson Hicks while he dropped down like a rock a couple of moments ago. Now slot in P5, so he lost out on a couple of spots, so Cameron Stone now occupying P3 and Mark Padgett slotted in 4th. So I'm not sure what the deal was for the 63, but very slow last time by. I think there may have been a bit of a trip up down to 3 and 4. Could have explained why he was so slow there.
Passing opportunities here. This stage in the race, they're defined by whether the car in front of you misses their line and washes up just a little bit. At that point, it's worth jumping in. I have heard news of a yellow flag, and I can't see obvious signs of where it is. I think it's Brian Workman's car, though, in the back. Don't see too much going on. No, it's not that. I am not sure what's caused that caution.
Yeah, so either way, though, no matter what brought out the yellow is out here, and it comes 26 laps into this 200-lap long race. Of course, 45 laps, the length of this first stage here. So the first yellow coming out, and now, Howie, I gotta wonder, I don't think it would be a good call to come down pit lane for tires, because these drivers are limited to 4. Was it 4 tire changes tonight? I believe it is 4 tire changes.
It's only 4
allotted to these races tonight. Yeah, that is dangerously low. As we take a look at that moment, it was a tap of the wall heading on to the start-finish straightaway, trying to do the investigative journalism to figure out who that was. I believe, unless I'm very much mistaken, it may have been a little bit farther up the road.
People on the race voice chat aren't sure either. Someone's joked it was a competition caution because of rain. I mean, I think my personal theory is someone hit a button that they shouldn't have hit. Or, you know, people on the in-race voice chat, they have no idea either. So we're not going to try and break that mystery down. It wasn't a car on the track. I think this was triggered accidentally by a league admin.
You know, when I used to do race control stuff, I was always so paranoid of hitting a wrong button, doubly so considering the race control software, that I will not name drop unless they would like to give me some money for me to name drop that on one of these shows. But the race control software I was using, you had the opportunity to give people, like, drive-through penalties, 30-second penalties. You had the opportunity to give people some pretty substantial whacks. I mean, granted, this is this was road course that I was doing some officiating for. I was so worried about accidentally giving somebody like a drive-through penalty when they only needed a 10-second penalty. Granted, it's the difference between cat crap and dog crap right on top of your lunch. It's still not great either way, but, you know, I was always a little bit worried about that. Seeing these racers head their way around turns number 3 and 4, don't think we're going to see any takers coming down pit lane, which, considering the limits of the tires, I can't necessarily say that that is a bad decision at all. Yeah, 4 sets allotted to these racers, and that, I believe, includes the tires that they're starting this race on. So, God knows what sort of state these Goodyears are going to be in at the end of these stints.
Yeah, it's 3 changes after your first set. Now, let me quickly ask, was it the race control software that looks like it came out of 2000? Because I've used that while broadcasting a league as well. So I've had 2 monitors and about 50 plates to spin. I didn't accidentally drive for anyone, let me tell you that, but I know the feeling.
I may need to get that name from you, because I don't want to necessarily say it on the air, because I technically speaking am still somewhat related to them because I broadcast one of their leagues. So we'll zip up and abruptly move on. Hey, Jeff, if you're tuning into the show, okay,
this is awkward. You've created all. Maybe this is my fault. Awkward silence built in. You could throw me under the bus today.
You know what? I saw the name that you sent me. You sent it to me in a DM. That is not the right one that I was using. I've never used that. So
we live in different worlds.
Screw that product. The one I use is better. Alrighty, back to green here, folks. Here at Dover, we are back racing here for stage number 1. A good restart from Johnny Avila. An okay one from Charles Velasquez Jr. He's shaken off the challenge from the 57 for now. However, side-by-side racing a flare-up yet again, this time involving Adam Benefield in the 02 of Mark Padgett. Here we go.
Looks like we are having a bit of a 2-wide scramble. Padgett is falling back on that high line now. I also see Jim Schofield trying it as well. Slots in front of the 17. Or 17 and 71 are in the same place on the track, so it's very, very confusing. Yes, it's Amon and Troll back-to-back, and Johnny Avila just got a black flag for jumping the start.
Oh, here we go, and yeah, he's slowing down. He's got to come in to serve that black flag and try not to speed entering pit lane as well. We saw in that warm-up session as we were getting up and rolling from this broadcast how difficult it can be to pick up something like that. Has Charles Velasquez Jr. picked up a black flag himself? Is that going to get cleared by race control? That is rather big if both of the drivers at the front of the field picked up a black flag. It looked borderline. Yeah.
He changed lanes. Race control are telling him he's got to now serve it as well. So, race control told him that was no bueno, that's not how you start a race, and we've lost our whole front row in one restart. Competition cautions, get him down. Oh, dear.
You know, I believe the correct broadcaster terminology would be crap out of luck in reference to those two. That is a big kick in the shins to end off this stage. They still have a lot of time left to go, but that is a massive setback for both of the drivers that were trading the lead earlier on. That is not a good moment for those two in the slightest. We jump back to live action now, and we follow what is now the battle for the final podium spot. This is actually the battle for the final 2 spots inside the top 3 right now. It's Bryson Ixenball and Adam Benefield running second and third. Got Mark Padgett right there within striking distance as well, coming with 10 laps left to go now here in stage number 1. Cameron Stone, though, and all that drama, he has jumped out into a comfortable, commanding stage lead, hoping that we can run this all the way through to the end without another restart, but certainly that close quarter stuff that we saw a couple of moments ago involving Jim Schofield in the number 47 car, and Brandon Hastings right behind him has now broken himself up into the top 10. I feel like with the field packed in right now like sardines, the chances of a yellow coming out again are far from 0.
Let me change that filthy European unit. There you go, yee-haw.
USA!
I think we're going to do quite a bit of safe running. As I say that, you're watching Adam Benefield just behind, slide past Bryson Hixenbach. Cameron Stone's rear view camera here. Big distance. He's just hit a wall. Up front. Now, some of these drivers, they've been sort of donated these positions. I mean, it's the nicest way to win a stage. Just have the top two both change their lanes and ruin the restart of the race. And that means Hixenbaugh, who was struggling earlier in the stage, he might just easily jump out of a top 3 in there as well. Rick Wineland now trying to jump past Connor Cunningham and Jim Schofield in drafty car. Not too much drafty carring around here, let me tell you that. But drivers have kept pretty well behaved this stage. It doesn't mean the whole race is going to end like this. But right now, I think everybody knows that they have to really drive this one carefully.
See, there may not be a lot of drafty car here at Dover, but you can't spell drafty car without Dover.
Can you explain that one? Can you break that one down for me? Assume that I'm functionally illiterate and just, like, help me out there.
I am functionally illiterate. That should not be news to anyone who's tuned into these broadcasts with me. Hey, there's 2 letters that you have in drafty car and Dover. It's a D and an R. So they both start with a D and end with an R. So there you go. You can have drafty car, you can have Dover. Both of them go together like 2 peas in a pod. Saw all those drivers lifting as they headed their way down into 1 and 2. I'm trying to change the subject after possibly the dumbest thing I've ever said on the air in my entire life, which is really saying something. I'm just kidding. I've said far worse. But at the front of the field, we may have a battle flaring up with Cameron Stone and Benefield. Stone with a bit of a wall tap coming out of 4.
Just 1 point in a stage win, but you know you want it done. And Benefield knows these tyres are about to be replaced in a couple of laps. There's no point preserving anymore. He's going to absolutely charge down Cameron Stone like a raging bull. Let's take a look on top of the car here. And if that bottom is held well by Stone, it's going to be very, very hard to make that push. Tyres have to be decently worn now. There's obviously more you can wear them, but there's only a couple miles to the end of the run. And you really need to make sure not to overcook entry when you're chasing someone like this, but then you might not get any speed out of it. It's a tough battle to pick, and I don't really know how you can play it if you're that desperate. Behind Mark Paget, it's doing the exact same game with Bryson Hixenbaugh.
These drivers now getting the opportunity to turn up the wick in their race cars, trying to figure out what their true potential is. And for the racers who are quick, they'll be able to run strong. For the drivers who are running slow, however, their pace is going to be exposed, much like that one business guy at that Coldplay concert a couple of days ago, side by side with Hixenbaugh and Paget, heading their way down the start-finish stretch into 1 and 2. This may be a move for P3 from Paget. Looks like he's going to clear him coming out of the turn. Now you can see Kyle Amon looking to get moved on Hixenbaugh as well. Coming right to the end of the stage, coming to the white flag here in stage number 1 as Cameron Stone still leads over Adam Benefield. Amon getting that moved on Hixenbaugh, who's dropping down like an anvil. That is not a good turn of pace for him at all. Cameron Stone, though, still being the one punching the hole in the air at the north end of the field, as much as Adam Benefield knows how to throw those gloves down to the ground and try and throw some fists. I think he knows that it is not the battle worth really fighting over too much here. So early on in this race, I think he's got to take it up the other cheek. Cameron Stone going to win in here in stage number 1. Adam Benefield will finish in P2. Mark Paget, Kyle Amon, Bryson Hixenbaugh, Hunter Truell, Eric Wineland, Jim Schofield will round out your top 8 as those a swapperoo right the line between Noah Woods and Connor Cunningham in the number 68 and 78 cars respectively. First time I believe I've seen Connor Cunningham run in one of these races here this season, so maybe his debut. I'll have to get further confirmation about that, but that's how it shakes out at the end of stage number 1. Howie, one that saw its twists and turns with the front 2 both getting whacked with a black flag, and the race really getting turned on its head as a result of that yellow.
It's not a good way to finish a stage, to be given P3 for free by race control and then still drop back the same 2 places that you began, really. So Bryson, I mean, the points don't matter too much, especially for Bryson. Bryson's maybe the one person that needs the points the least, and so he's sort of maybe just donating down the league. But if you're out there to race every single race to the max, then he's going to need to work out how to run the end of these runs faster. Stage 2 is going to be about the same length, so lots to work out. Here comes the pack for their pit stops.
And as we expected, the stage break's going to be the point where these drivers decide to put some brand new rubber on their cars, except for two. You can see that's Johnny Avila, who stayed down. I believe the other car is Brian Wortman, who I believe has already come down the pits here in this race. But outside of those two, everybody else making that call to come down pit lane. Cameron Stone hits his marks. Everybody going to try and hit their marks as well as they can. Oh, that's not a good stop at all. Is that Hicksonball? I think that is Hicksonball. Yes, it is the number 63 driver who's been more or less faultless thus far this season, having a big mistake on pit lane as they're out and away. That's the 57 of Stone. Gonna be leading them out. A big jump from Timothy Cook Jr. It'll be Adam Benefield slotted in third. Paget and Eamon around at your top five. A big jump from the 54 and a horrible leap backwards for the number 63 of Bryson Hicksonball.
From bad to worse, maybe. Hicksonball sits in P8 now, so in order to get anything out of this stage, he's going to have to either hope for misfortune or drive like he stole it. Stage 2, as ever, a little shorter than Stage 1 because we're actively eating into it. I mean, we're used to cautions taking a while and giving us a lot to talk about, but cautions at Dover are remarkably quick. I mean, a track this short and a pace speed that doesn't feel completely insulting will do that to you.
And it's still just going to be enough time to really rub salt into the wounds for the number 63 of Bryson Hicksonball. I mean, we saw him really lose out on some pace right towards the end of that stage. Really in the second half of Stage 1 was where we start to see him drop back. But as a result of that pit cycle, he's going to be restarting this race on that fourth row. You can see him alongside that drafty car of Eric Wineland. Yes, that is so fun to say, drafty car, but a very poor series of events for Hicksonball, the number 63. He is going to be, if he shows the same pace that he showed at the start of Stage 1, I think he'll be able to keep his head above water. If that pace that we saw at the end of Stage number 1 will carry over here to the start of Stage 2, then I have a feeling we're going to see that number 63 car dip through the field like someone with a duffel bag full of scuba diving weights tied around their waist. That's not going to work out well at all. I think Hicksonball is really going to have to fight for his life, keep his head above water, and try and keep his pace going. He's been a faultless driver thus far this season. Who knows, maybe it's just not his night at Dover. It's going to be someone's, though, as we're about to get Stage 2 up and rolling here for race number 20 of this season. The green flag's at. The driver's back on their way. Stone getting off to a good restart. Benefield getting off to a good one as well. Timothy Cook Jr. trying to hold his own around the outside. Just got a move put on him by Kyle Eamon, and Wineland looking to get a move done as well.
The first 2-lap scramble at Dover is about all you can hope for to get places. And Timothy Cook Jr., he rides the lane up again, and he's dropping back. I think he knows his strategy. He knows how he wants to play the track to be up here. You can't be slow. So he wants the top, and he's the only driver that's really sticking to it. Watch out for the transition as you leave the banking on this track, though. As you come out of 2 and 4, the way the track sort of moves back to flat is very unusual compared to other NASCAR circuits, and it means that very often you put a little bit too much power out and exit, you end up right in that outside wall. We've not seen it happen to us yet. I'm going to consider that first caution fake. I'll finish there. I had something planned and I realized now's not the time. It's a fake caution. But Cameron Stone, Adam Benefield, Kyle Eamon, and Eric Wineland making up this top 4. And I think Wineland wants a little bit more up the inside. Oh, it's a bit of a send, and that really does send Eamon up the track.
Yeah, it really does. You can see the give-and-take nature that these racers have to try and deal with when it comes to getting those overtakes done. Just send your competitor up the road, not even because of contact, just because of trying to keep that bottom lane open. These racers really gravitating towards that run right by the apron, running as strong, running as smooth, and that 17 car has really been hung out to dry, as here comes the inverse. 71 of Hunter Truel gets a move put on him. Jim Shoefield now going to try and get a move done down the inside. I think he'll get some sort of reprieve here soon, because there is a bit of a gap between the 47 and the 63 of Hicksonball, who's currently running in P8 still. We may see him potentially clear him, get down to the bottom, There you go. In a moment like that, some drivers may decide that they want to be the hero and try and push forward, but there's also other situations where you just need to stop the bleeding as soon as you can.
Some real action in the back of this field. Up front, everybody's running this one single file, but further back, you almost see people try to send it free wide at Dover. I think that was Johnny Avila's car. Have you tried sending it free wide at Dover? Is that a good idea? I'll leave that debate up to the audience at home to find out, but he has places to be after his early penalty. He was able to get his lap back, and now he's just sitting here in the 14th position. Very fast on this track, but an absolute mountain to climb to get out. My eyes are on Eric Wineland here. I think he's really, really pushing early run. He's already sort of forced someone up the track, not physically, but, gotten the car in under and forced them to acquiesce a little bit. And he might just try and play the same game with the 83 Benefield. He's hitting lower than Benefield on every turn, and at one point he's just going to decide to play chicken with him, I think.
Yeah, you do have to play chicken with your competitors at some point just to try and get some moves done, but to touch on the point that he raised a couple of moments ago about going 3 wide here at Dover, I feel like that is about as bad of an idea as moving to Dover, Delaware in the first place. I'm not really sure if that would be the correct strategy to run here. I feel like because I live in the city of Philadelphia, I may be allowed to say it, but if this is my last show, it's been great. I'll see y'all on the other side.
I'll never understand some of the rivalries you guys have, but then again, you won't understand some of the rivalries we have, and this is not my show to share my culture. Let me put it like that. This is American V8 loud pedal racing. Benefield has good pace on the inside, and I think he's going to try and get through Cameron Stone, who I almost thought was going to hit the wall on the way out. They're still side by side. How long can Cameron Stone hold on to this outside line? He's not giving it up for absolutely anybody. Almost contact again. Stone stays off the wall again. I think Stone's a little bit faster, a little lane up off the bottom here. He's good at carrying momentum, and it's clear he's not giving this up for anyone.
Yeah, not giving it up at all. These racers know that now is round about the time that you turn up the wick a little bit. Stage 1, that's the point where you just want to get your bearings straight, try and run smooth. Now, however, we're starting to see these racers really crank up the pressure, turn up the tempo, and start to run a little bit stronger. We are starting to see the track conditions cool off a little bit more as well. Saw some track temperatures in the 90s Fahrenheit earlier on, now clocked at 88 Fahrenheit, so still rather hot, but a little bit cooler than what it was a little bit earlier on. I think these cars may be getting a little bit better grip, and I think that could be part of the reason why we're seeing these drivers get the moves done. Look at that. That's Wineland trying to stick it down the inside of the 83 of Benefield. He now drops down from second, down to third, down to fourth. He'll probably lose down some more spots as well unless he can finally clear himself onto that line, which he does. Bit of a gap, bit of a break between the 02 and the 71 allows that 83 to just slip back in tow.
Benefield had amazing pace until he suddenly didn't. Just got dropped off, and when the cars run this close around here, one turn is enough to just give up multiple places. Everybody's basically waiting to pounce on your errors. Stone, though, has been able to get 6/10 of a second away now. He's just running. I don't know if Wineland wants to push to try and get this P1, or he just wants to play defensive against Mark Paget in the P2 position. Avila's still moving up the field, by the way, just past Noah Woods for 11th. I think he'll be a factor near the end of this race.
Yeah, we're getting a good idea as to who is going to be the indomitable force all throughout this race. Who can manage their runs the best? Who can stay quick around a racetrack like this? I think having a very good race car underneath you is going to be a benefit. So let's see who will be able to benefit from all of that the best. Coming up towards the end of this stage, about halfway through it now at this point in time, 65 laps on the board. The stage break going to be coming at the end of lap 90. So still a little bit of time left for these racers to try and settle it into some sort of groove. But I will say this was around about the point in time that we saw the yellow come out during stage number 1. Now that yellow was a bit of a red herring, so I'm not sure if we will see a repeat of that. Fingers crossed we won't. But with how hard these racers are really starting to battle with each other. We could see one down to incident in the end of this stage if these racers don't settle down a little bit, try and relax and take a chill pill, so to speak.
I think that they seem plenty relaxed up here near the front. Further back, maybe, I'm not sure. I've seen Mason Lowry try and jump to the inside of Austin Evie. Some of that crazy 2-3 wide action has sort of died down a bit, and now we're sitting in the single file, get it to the end of the stage, approaching one of the greatest laps of the race, of course, and that is Trull quite high up off the bottom, really hits the wall a little bit on the way out as well. One of the best things to analyze here with the lines drivers are choosing to take. This seems like it's a change of strategy for Trull. He usually has been running on the bottom. Now that's our 2 turns in a row up to the top. See if he does it one more time and then we'll know it's intentional. It kind of is, but he's not seeing momentum benefits as a result of it.
Yeah, I think the best way I could describe it is semi-conscious. It's a semi-conscious decision. He's not doing it 100% knowingly. It's just part of his brain's like, you know what? It's probably a good strategy. A lot of the things that racers can do, it comes second nature to them. You know, you get into a groove and it's like, okay, I kind of know what to do here. It's like doing a broadcast, Howie, in a sense. You know kind of what to do, what not to do, what words that you can say on the air, what words that are usually 4 letters long we cannot say on the air. You know, it's stuff like that. You just settle into a groove and have that sort of mental subconsciousness side of you that's like, okay, this is a good idea, this isn't a good idea. Kind of be able to compartmentalize that is very good to have if you are a driver. Know kind of how to learn the ropes and have it come as if you don't even need to think about it. You just do it.
This is one of those tracks, though, that it's very strangely like it's a little bit, it's single groove right up until a very specific changeover point, and then it becomes somewhere where you might want to run somewhere else just to change out the nature of your run. But it's a track that sort of changes over the course of how you've treated your tires and how you race the track yourself. Benefield slides up the inside of Mark Paget. Looks like that was given up almost for free, but also dive down to the inside from Paget. He doesn't take it, and he backs off just a little. I think there might still be a battle on the cards. Benefield dropping back 2 positions was unusual given his chase for the lead. But now Benefield's going to want that P2 back, and he's going to chase down Wineland to the end of the earth to get it.
The chase continues. A game of cat and mouse between these two continues. Will we see one catch the other? Let's just wait and find out. We can see them running nose to tail as they head their way through turns number 1 and 2 right there. A little bit of a wiggle there from Eric Wineland, it must be said, as Johnny Avila dropping down a little bit. He's been on the up and up, now breaking his way firmly inside the top 10. Just got moved on Brandon Hastings to jump his way up to 9. So Johnny Avila, he may have been down a little bit earlier on, but he is certainly not out of it. The number 63, though, 2 cars back, that's Bryson Hixenball again dropping down. What was it that I said a little bit earlier on? Dropping down like a scuba diver with some scuba weights in a duffel bag tied around his waist. That's basically what we're getting from the number 63. He is drowning at the present moment, and hoping that we'll be able to see some sort of rebound from him, but I'm not really sure if we're going to be seeing that. I think Bryson Hixenball a little bit off his game here, which is quite fascinating to say for a driver who has scored over a quarter of the wins up to this point here in this championship.
My pet theory is that you spent the entire last week writing down new ones in the notebook, writing down new comparisons to make, and now that's your new favorite out of the list. Paget takes Wineland back again. We're starting to see some positional movement here up and down the field. We're reaching the end of the run, and so tire wear is starting to really become a factor for these drivers. And you're very right in that Bryson Hixenball is now in 14th. He's just sort of checked out in terms of pace throughout this run. Maybe that car is just not set up right to win this race, because he just does not have the pace in him today, and he's giving it up to others. Cameron Stone has the absolute pace, and he's sure enjoying running this field, but it's been a bit of a back and forth as to who gets to inherit the chance to battle. Benefield is now almost a second away from Paget. Wineland, I thought, would be the driver to take it, but he hasn't delivered.
Yeah, just haven't really seen that to him at this point in the race. But hey, still a little bit of time left to go, so there is some time to turn things around for some racers who haven't gotten off to the best of starts here. But who knows, we'll just have to wait and find out how it all works out here side by side with the 68 of Noah Woods and the 71 of Hunter Truel. They're battling for the final spot inside the top 10. Look at Raymond Root getting involved in all that battling as well. There's a driver of that number 91 machine currently holding on to that inside line, was just able to get that move done on the 71. Now Truel falling into the crutches potentially of the 03 of Austin Evie. Evie off the back of a, shall we call it, adventurous race at Sonoma last time out. Looking to get back into a groove now, back on the oval part of this schedule. Won't be running on a road course, at least for a teeny tiny bit here from this schedule. So looking to settle back into a groove and get things back and rolling for the driver of the 03.
Yeah, looking forward to the rest of this schedule. We're getting, I mean, I say every week we're getting close to the end of the regular season, and it's because it's right. Hold those words. Here's Adam Benefield, who's caught up for the potential lead. We're lapping cars now, so that, I believe, is Brian Wortman's 35 car between the two, and I think that might have opened up this opportunity, slowed down Stone quite a bit. Now Benefield is just tasting the rear bumper here of Cameron Stone's car. He's done excellent defending so far. Every time he's given up a place, he's been able to earn it back. He is about half a lane off the bottom, though, and I think Benefield might strike. There's a tap into the wall on corner exit, and at the pace he's going, I think this is going to explode.
I'm hoping that doesn't end in an absolute explosion. That feels like a lot of paperwork would have to be involved in the aftermath of that. But Cameron Stone and Adam Benefield running nose to tail at the north end of this field, coming up to that stage break here in about 6 to 7 laps time. Cameron Stone still leads over Benefield. The driver of the number 83 car looking to try and return to form. He has been a rather intriguing driver to follow up to this point here in this season. But the last time he visited Victory Lane was back at Darlington many moons ago from this championship. So Benefield looking to get his third win. He was able to get his first two back-to-back in 2 straight weeks. Martinsville and Darlington, some rather interesting and rather historic tracks in the world of NASCAR racing. I mean, Dover has been around since the 1960s, so maybe there's something here with that number 83 car running good at the somewhat storied and rather unique racetracks. This is unique, this is storied. He's running strong at the moment, slotted in P2, and as much as that gap has grown between himself and Cameron Stone, with 5 laps now left to go here at the end of the stage, I think Benefield has a good shot to get it done. But Johnny Avila, he's come back with a vengeance. He's currently hounding the back of the number 17 of Kyle Amon, who had a big wiggle coming out of 4.
Villa's fast, sent to the back and willing to try and push it up again. Some really sketchy exits on the transition. Only a couple laps to go in the stage. I think you'll make another shot for 5th. 4th would be more of a struggle, but that would be an epic comeback. And if you can get yourself up there, you could be in shot to win this race by the end of the final stage. Few other battles heading on by. Evie is now tangling with Hixenbar, who's dropped all the way down to 13th place. It's not looking good. Noah Woods has also been racing well, up behind Brandon Hastings right now. And I gotta say, I like to share my opinion on driver car designs, which is why I'm shouting out my favorite design of the day. It's Raymond Roots. Look at that thing go.
Yeah, that's a very cool looking race car. Looks like something that you see in some sort of 80s thing. It's very nice. I like it. 10 out of 10 on the colors. Here's the car that I don't know why reminds me of allergy medication. It's the green car, the number 84 of Johnny Avila. Currently, though, he is all over the back of the number 17 of Kyle Amon. Right now, maybe got to try and size up a move, potentially coming right toward the end of the stage here as well. Looks like Cameron Stone is on track for the stage win. Going to go for 2 straight. Benefield slotted in P2. This battle for P5 is the one that I want to keep my attention on. Down the backstretch into 3 and 4. Johnny Avila, he's been on the hard charge, picked up that penalty right towards the beginning of this race, midway through stage number 1. After the first restart here, he picked up that penalty for a restart violation, and ever since then, he's been on the hard charge yet again down the inside of the 17 of Kyle Amon. They battle, they touch, they bang wheels, and Amon bangs the wall, coming at it too. 2, but as they head their way down into 3 and 4 for the final time here in stage number 2, looks like it'll be a very close finish between Avila and the 17 of Eamon. Looks like Eamon going to have that run coming up to the line to take P5 at the end of the stage, which is won by Cameron Stone. The yellow coming at 91 laps on the board here in this 200 lap long race, but Cameron Stone proving himself to be good as we take a look at that iRacing flag man looking way too similar to the Hunchback of Notre Dame. There's your stage winner. It's Cameron Stone, Adam Benefiel in P2, Mark Patchett in 3rd, Eric Wineland in 4th, Kyle Eamon in P5, Johnny Avila oh so close to finish that stage in the top 5, comes up just close in 6th. There'll be Jim Schufield in 7th, Raymond Root in 8th, Connery Cunningham in 9th with Brandon Hastings, rounding out your top 10 at the end of the first 90 laps here at the end of stage 2. And praise be the news that these racers are about to receive in their ear. Pit stops coming up now.
Just any lap on this track is enough to shred the tires and terrify you for all you have. You're going to want every stop you can get. This might be, I mean, these drivers have really behaved well. There's been no genuine cautions on the track. I mean, that last one was shouldn't have happened. So no genuine cautions on the tracks. The drivers have been fantastic at keeping to themselves. If that happens, we're going to have the green flag pit stop. And when was the last time you tried the green flag pit stop at Dover? I can't even yellow stop at Dover. It's so brutal.
Yeah, I feel like a green flag pit stop here at Dover, oh boy, I'm pretty sure you would have better luck trying to pick up antimatter with flimsy chopsticks, but you know, that's just me. But let's see how Johnny Avila is going to be able to shake out in this pit stop. Let's see how the stage 2 and stage 1 winner of Cameron Stone will be able to manage it as well. He gets out with the lead. The 83 of Benefiel slotted right behind. Look very close between Eric Wineland and Mark Patchett. I believe Patchett got the nose out just barely. I think they're still trying to figure out who exactly is in front of the other when it came to the all that. I think the 87 of Wineland just barely got out in front. Johnny Avila was able to jump in front of Kyle Eamon as a result of that pit cycle to leapfrog his way up into 5th, but Cameron Stone still holding on to that race lead at the moment, which seems to be the prime position to be in when it comes to track position.
Well, here we come. The big one is on the way. Cars should need a stop midway through this stage. We have had no stop stages recently in Friday Night Lights, but those, I think, are the exceptions and not the rules. And either way, I think you get a tire blowout if you tried going on for that long. So the fuel limitation, the tire limitation, strategy is going to play a factor if we stay green the whole way, which right now we've got a very, very good track record of doing. This is going to become a very strategical race. It's going to be about how you use the first half of that stint and then how you convert it into the second.
And that's a fantastic point that you raised there, Howie. It will be a strategic end to this race, and that is for CERN. As we see them heading their way around 1 and 2, there's the distinct possibility that this is the last time we see these racers run under yellow here in this race. I can't rule it out, Howie. I don't think you can rule it out either. This is going to be a marathon run to the finish of this race. Now, whether we get green flag pit stops will remain to be determined. For now, though, I have a feeling that even if it's yellow flag stops, this will be a test of these drivers' skills. It will be a test of their cars as well. Not only do you have to worry about that side-by-side racing out there on the racetrack, keeping it clean, getting some moves done, and trying not to drop down like a rock, you also have to worry about those tires quite a lot here in this final stage. We're going to see an endurance run to the line for these racers as we are back racing here at Dover with Cameron Stone, your Stage 1 and Stage 2 winner, leading us back to green. It'll be Eric Wineland slotting in second. Adam Benefiel still stuck on the high side. Maybe gonna get a move put on him by Johnny Avila in the 84. Let's see as they head their way down the backstretch. Here comes Avila. There goes Avila up into third.
From the back to the front, I wouldn't count Avila out as a potential race winner. I still think he's due one after Charlotte, to be honest. I still think every single week about the way that in Charlotte, He ran a faultless race and then got wrecked on the green-white checkers. All right, I think about it. Avila, you're in my heart for that. He could be in a shout, but now here's Wineland's shot. He didn't have it during the whole last stage, but that good pit exit has enabled him to start on that front row. And while his start was slow, he's made the move on Stone to claim the lead. I don't think it will last terribly long. Stone's underneath for now. Wineland, fastest lap of the race on the last time around, though. And if Stone doesn't get this done in a couple of laps, Wineland might be able to run away.
Yeah, what you've got right now is a rather fascinating top 5 here in this race, full of a lot of different storylines and a lot of different drivers looking to find their way to victory lane and achieve something special. You got Eric Wineland running at the front of the field just barely, as you can see him with a wiggle big time, heading all through 1 and 2. Cameron Stone nearly spinning him around all through the turn, but Eric Wineland coming into this race, he is the second car above the playoff cutoff line. 87, not even 87, 67 points is a gap he's got right now, as Cameron Stone going for the dive on him down into turn number 1 and 2. You mentioned the Charlotte race a couple of months ago here, Howie. That was the site where Cameron Stone was able to grab his first and so far only win up to this point in the season. So Cameron Stone already has visited victory lane up to this point in the season. Not really worried about the playoffs. He's not a full-timer in this series, so he doesn't have to worry about that. Wineland, on the other hand, he's playing for points. He wants to make it strong. Johnny Avila also has 1 win this season. That coming a couple of weeks before that race at Charlotte, but in the same state, it was Rockingham, where he was able to grab the checkered flag there. Mark Paget, similar spot to what Eric Wineland is at the moment. He's the last car above that playoff cut line as it stands right now. Slotted as the 12th seed coming into this race, only 32 points above that cut line. Granted, with some racers assigned to skip out and others not having good shows at all. Paget looking good to try and increase that, especially with the fact he's running in P4. But a win would be insurance, and a win would be fantastic for him to go to victory lane for the first time here this season. Adam Benefield, though, your final driver inside the top 5. He's looking to go back to victory lane for the first time since Darlington many moons ago. That would be a fantastic return to victory lane for the 2-time winner up to this point. It was April the 4th, the last time we saw that number 83 car get into victory lane. And although he has gotten close since, he hasn't been able to seal the deal. Maybe tonight's the night that we see that 83 car back on the top step.
I'd watch out for Johnny Avila, though. He made a very clean pass on Wineland while we were going through the standings, and he is like a rocket ship on the back of Cameron Stone now. Sends it to the high side. I wonder if there's momentum to be had around here as he jumps down to the inside on exit. This is a good move. He has overlap. He's going to be able to stay alongside on the bottom of the track. Hold it, hold it, hold it. I think he'll be clear on exit, and that'll be Johnny Avila from the lead to the back to the lead again here at Dover. I think he's an absolute favorite.
Yeah, I gotta imagine that number 84 car is the one that these drivers are thinking about chasing throughout the rest of this race. Here comes Cameron Stone trying to fight back on the inside, down into 1 and 2. Will it work for the driver of the 57? You can see him wheeling his own with that 84 car. He just has that head of speed. He has that speed heading all through the turns and down the straights. And he's able to get that move done. Don't think we've raised this. Charles Velasquez Jr., the other driver that was running up towards the front a little bit earlier on with Johnny Avila, came down pit lane, but I believe he had a screen freeze and some major technical difficulties. He's out of this race at the present moment, slotted all the way down in P23. The last driver to retire from what has been a very clean race here at Dover, and knowing my luck, right as I said that, we're going to see a driver strike the catch fence in about 5 seconds time.
Few drivers have had tech issues today, and they've sort of had to park their race up early. We've heard it from Rory Collins, who froze and woke up in the pit wall. So that's taking him out of the race. He's not even quite sure what caused that. Velasquez Jr. as well, I believe. I'm hearing talk of problems, but I'm just reading things while I'm trying to juggle 50 different plates. Or if I rambled about a driver that never showed up. No, he did show up. Charles Velasquez Jr. out. Great. Thank you. The interface is here just in time to help me out. That was another tech problems that led to him leaving the race. No serious crashes on the track. I think today I will choose to go curseless. I've had some commentators curse over the last 2 weeks that have been just gross. Like, I've just done some of the worst, most disgusting ones of my life. Today, I would like to just actually be able to have a race where I don't make a bad thing happen to somebody. So, I think we both are collectively held together in our dreams of that one. And it's pretty clean single file for now. I think Avila, though, he's starting to run away.
Yeah, Johnny Avila holding on to a very good gap as it stands at the present moment, trying to build that. As I think was Daniel Llewellyn making that call to come down pit lane there. So yes, it was Daniel Llewellyn in the 07 car. My eyes actually doing me well for the first time in the 20 plus years I've been here on planet Earth. But yeah, I'm hoping to avoid the commentator's curse as well. You know, never a good thing. You never. I don't think the drivers appreciate it at all. As soon as you talk about them, that's the moment the falling anvil comes down crashing on their head. And don't want to curse at all, because I feel like if I do throw a curse towards these racers, these drivers will call me a son of a Benjamin. We see him in the 22nd spot. I think he had a moment heading his way down into turn number 1 and 2. Bit of a slide, bit of a drift through the turn. You could just see that white 53 car canted as he heads his way all through that section of the track, running right behind Timothy Cook Jr. And doesn't necessarily work out too well for him. I think it was still running somewhat strong, but that car is definitely looking a bit sad all through the turns. I would not like to be the rear tires in that 53 car.
I'm gonna be real. I was told there was a possible incident there. You have to investigate your own twice, and then you realize software can lie to you. Because, well, you know, he's down 10 laps, so something did happen. Like, something absolutely did happen. Can I try? I'm gonna try this one more time. I swear something must have happened, because pit lane, something, that's it. Not sure why he was there, though. Who knows? It's quite hard to follow around here sometimes, let me tell you that. Mark Padgett, in real time now, is on the rear of one, and we've seen these two trade their positions back and forth throughout the race. I think we're about to do it again.
Yeah, so yet again, the duel going to flare up towards the front of the field. The 02 and the 87, the Pied Pipers of this train of cars that runs essentially all the way back down to the number 68 of Noah Woods. I'd say even to a certain, actually no, I would say that is definitely a big break. Bryson Extenball currently slotted in lucky number P13. That just about sums up how his race has gone. And now, some people tuning into this broadcast may be thinking, oh, why are you talking about Bryson Extenball this way? He's beating him up too much. This is rather unnatural, what we're seeing from the 63 of Bryson Extenball. You know, he is usually on his game in these races. We're just not seeing that at all.
I mean, after the way Betterfield treated us when we picked up Hixenbar, I'd watch it myself. I mean, like, I have a feeling that he is going to have they're teammates that make good fun of each other, and I don't think Betterfield was going to appreciate with performance like this and a possible top 3 on the car, just talking about Hixenbar over and over again. But let's just say he has not had the race of his life, and I don't see him recovering unless there's some extraordinary acts happen on the track. Up front, Stone has reached and passed Avila. Put the T-Tools in the Twitch chat for that one. That one might have been missed. In fact, I'm going to give that one a nice catch, because that indeed was a pass secured and a run away again.
And let's take a look at this Swaparoo as they head their way down into turns number 1 and 2. Hey, I'm a Pelt, and I don't know. You can see that 84 car with the slide midway through the turn, and Cameron Stone getting that inside line and book it. He is through the number 84, Johnny Avila. Bit of a wall tap potentially as he headed his way out of turn number 2. That inside line, the ideal spot to be at. But what we've got at the moment is the Battle of the Titans. Cameron Stone and Johnny Avila have been the 2 quickest cars in this race by quite some margin, and they're also the only 2 that really have any sort of semblance of clean air up in front of the field. Outside of them and the number 87 of Eric Wineland, everybody else has got some dirty air coming off the back of their cars. I know that it's basically a term on par with the boogeyman when it comes to NASCAR broadcast, but hey, it's Dover. You kind of have to mention it.
You're living by the sea. There's enough air in the air already. Dover Motor Speedway is one of those tracks that confuses me because primarily because we have a major Dover that is also a port in this country as well. So first, every time I see Dover, I'm like, oh, Dover, right? No, not Dover. Although I whip, Dover in the UK is such a sad place that it would be improved with a mile-long NASCAR speedway. So they should think about that one. Put it on top of the old castle, I think, and that would do it. But they both share their name for being pretty close to that ocean and getting quite a lot of that wind.
I'm actually looking this up actively right now on Google Maps, so hopefully this isn't the moment that driver gets struck by a falling anvil out there on the racetrack. It will still continue to disturb people, the fact that I do these broadcasts on a single monitor, but now that I've got a slightly wider desk here, I think I'll be good to go. Yeah, 6.5 miles, the gap between Dover and the ocean. Well, it's not really the ocean, it's just the port mouth of the Delaware Bay at the end of the Delaware River. And go a little bit farther away from that, you can find New Jersey Motorsports Park, the only tech track left here on iRacing. And you go a little bit farther up from there, you can go to Philadelphia, where you can see the Phillies either lose a game, like I think they did here tonight, or you can go a little bit farther up north and try and find me in the sea of 2.5 million people that we got here in the city of Philadelphia. Well, 123 coming to 124 laps here in this race. Cameron Stone still leads over Johnny Avila, who's in front of Eric Wineland. Wineland and Benefiel in two cars that looked vaguely similar to each other, running right nose to tail, and that was a huge squirrely moment from Wineland coming out of turn number 2.
Benefiel seems inevitable here on this pass. It's just going to take time and perseverance and more attempts. So Wineland played that game of sort of get under you until that happened to Benefiel. And now he's probably not enjoying it happening back in very much the same way. Let me put it like that. But he has very good discipline hanging to that bottom in the same way. So right now, it's pretty much even. Some sparks there coming off Wineland's car off the wall. It's just a flesh wound. It happens. But whoever washes up most is going to lose out here. This is an attempt at a run. Every time I get on board, it's almost inevitable. Within the hundredths. And this time, that has psyched Wineland out well enough to stick him to the outside. He's still going to clear on exit. It's not done. Wineland keeps the run down the straight. And now it's just a matter of who can carry the most momentum. Wineland trying to hit the absolute top of the track to get the fastest exits possible, but that might have slowed him down more. That's P3.
So pretty nice move there, must be said, from the driver of the number 83 car. Adam Benefiel, I feel like, is a driver that if he gets a bit more rub of the green, he could really potentially challenge Cameron Stone and Johnny Avila. As much as we've talked about throughout the show how quick of a race car he is, the one other point that we've raised is talking about how long it's been since we saw him visit Victory Lane. We keep harping on that point. That's not a bad thing to say in reference to Adam Benefiel, but it explains why he's hungry. He's hungry to bring that number 83 car back into Victory Lane. He wants to get another checkered flag here this season. The only driver outside of Bryson Exaball to have more than one win this season. Benefiel's been quick. He's been, at certain points in time, and I hope he doesn't take offense to this, because there's been certain points in time during this season where he's been about as consistent as expired mayonnaise, but he's been running strong whenever he has been running strong. P3 at the moment. I feel like if he gets a bit of a boost, he could potentially get involved in that battle with himself and Cameron Stone. Cameron Stone and Johnny Avila, I should say. But we also have to think about one more thing here, Howie. That's 70 laps left to go here in this race. The battle up in the front now officially flaring up as Johnny Avila looking to get something working around the outside of Cameron Stone. But we also have to think about the dirty word that's been popping on in these drivers' heads: pit stops.
Not under green. No, I'm not strong enough. I'm not strong enough to do a green flag, to even witness a green flag pit stop. Everyone I see will remind me that I can't do it around there. The pit road speed limit here is obscenely slow, and the exit and the entrance come at you. So, I mean, it is one of the hardest tracks to get into the pit lane for, in my opinion. Call it a skill issue. In fact, it's a skill issue, but it's one that could be exercised on this grid. We'll let you know if any black flags fly up. Noticing a bit of speed out of Brighton Hexenbaugh. I promise I'm not just doing this on purpose, but I think he's made a few places back up and he's making another right now. Middle of this pack, still seeing plenty of passes. It's probably just a little bit too late now in order to make a charge to the top. There's 69 to go, which is convenient and pretty nice.
Here we go. They had their way down through the back straightaway. This will be some close quarter stuff between these racers still. I think if they start to battle too hard, though, Adam Benefield may really get dicey in all of this as well. I think a 3-car battle and the prospect of green flag pit stops as a, I wouldn't necessarily say a lethal combination. It would be lethal for our vocal cords if any extracurricular shenanigans go on as a result of that, though.
We're reaching the point now where I don't think we can do another Atlanta incident where, like, you know, we repeatedly think they're gonna stop, and they don't stop. We said we're in the 60s to go. It's been a very long stage. It's going to be another 10, 20 laps before we see it come out, but I do think we are going to start seeing those pit stops. In fact, Daniel Llewellyn might have taken the first jump. Did it some laps ago. He's the last one to stop. Yes, he's the only one to stop. 23 on this stint. I think that might have been caused by a factor out of his control because that's not going to make it to the end. So we've not had any other drivers stop as a part of their strategy. I think there's still time to go before they are ready. But the first one to bite is going to cause everyone to respond.
Yeah, I think what will start off as a slow trickle will very quickly turn into a monsoon of drivers making that call to come down pit lane. Let's see just who's going to be the first driver to take the bite of that apple and try and run into the pit lane. That was Mark Padgett running into the wall, though, as he has his way down that start-finish stretch off into 1 and 2. The driver of the O2 car putting together one of his best races thus far this season, must be said. I've been very impressed with that driver as he hits the wall again, coming out of 1 and 2. Something maybe a little bit sour with that O2 of Mark Padgett. You know, I have a feeling we're going to see a driver make that early call to pit, and maybe him, because that car has gone from looking rather smooth. It may have been the fact that I was praising him, but that car looks like it's gone from running smoothly to driving around like a bag of lasagna being thrown down a flight of stairs.
That's an interesting one. That one just sort of came together, didn't it?
I think I've said that one before.
I mean,
which interestingly, I think I've had my friends describe how I looked in middle school as being a trash bag full of lasagna.
Now, I try not to play those sorts of insulting games. I'm actually just fascinated and in awe at your talent at this sort of thing. So, you know, I'm no bully today, but I guess maybe childhood trauma does form the best comparisons in your head. What can I say?
Hell yeah, it does. Side by side with Johnny Avila and Cameron Stone down into turn number 1. If this battle starts to flare up a little bit more, you may need to look at Adam Benefield getting involved in this battle as well. Side by side coming out of the turn. Avila getting dangerously close to that outside wall, but he clears him down to the turn. Cameron Stone trying to get a little bit of draft assistance as he headed his way down the backstretch into 3 and 4. He pulls back to the inside. Both of the drivers squirrely out of the turn. This is a battle of the Titans, and look at Adam Benefield. He's now been dragged into that battle, and we may see him try and dip his toes into that, not necessarily to go for a cannonball, but I think he may be trying to test the waters, see exactly what he can do and what he shouldn't do. That was a wall tap from Villa coming out of 1 and 2. It brought Cameron Stone back along side by side as he comes out of 4. Both of them squirrely yet again. Here comes the 83 of Benefield looking for a move down the inside. The 84 of Avila. Avila and Benefield battling tooth and nail. That's for P2 and P3. Cameron Stone going to try and use this opportunity to try and just drive off into the distance and run a smooth race. Let's see, though, if one of these two will finally pull out in front and give Cameron Stone something to fight for at the end of this stint. 59 coming to 58 laps now left to go here at Dover, and Cameron Stone holds on to the race lead over Adam Benefield in P2. Johnny Avila slotted in 3rd. The battling is cooled off for now. Keywords being for now.
I think Benefield's been hanging back first half of this tyre run in order to save them, and is now just going to charge up like an absolute rocket. I'm not sure where he came from to become a part of this, but you can't deny that is some fast running, and Cameron Stone's been doing some side-to-side battling in exchange. Here's our first pit stop on the tower. It's Connor E. Cunningham. It's with 57 laps to go. He's run 50, and that includes some under caution, so he's leaving the second half of this run to be longer than the first, meaning I don't know if you'll have too many biters in response to the bait at this stage. Give it another... Whoa, did you just jump scare me? What did I miss?
Oh, that was a huge sideways snap right behind these two that we've got on screen right now. Got Mark Patchen and Raymond Rupa right behind Jim Shoefield. He nearly lost it and hit the wall. Did I see a yellow light on potentially? I think potentially may. No, we're still running green. I just got jump scared myself. But here was a moment from the 47 of Jim Shoefield. You could tell this was a scary moment as he headed his way out of turn number 4 based off the fact that I sounded like I sat on a cold toilet seat. But you can see that snap out of the turn. He nearly lost out on a spot to Bryson Exball. Certainly dropped down like a rock when it comes to pace, but after having a sideways snap like that, looked like something you'd see on a dirt track instead of a concrete track. Can you necessarily blame him for dropping down? I sure as crap can't.
I would say that given the nature of the slide, that the jump scare was justified. I'll take it. That was funny. But let me tell you, it took me by surprise. It's 2:40 a.m. I sort of reversed my sleep cycle just to be here. Friday Night Lights is that good. So don't worry about me being overly tired. It's more like I just got out of bed to do this. A few more pit stops across Hastings and Benefield. I said it would be a couple more laps. It's still a bit earlier than I thought, but now we're really splitting this stage into two. If I look at, if I try and find Jim Schofield over here, there's 54 with 53 to go. So we are now halfway through the stage for anyone that wants to make the stop. We're going to see plenty of drivers go for it. Battles up ahead of these leaders, but now the stints are going to start to vary a bit. Let me try and get a stint length graphics up so that we can have a good eye on this, because now strategy is going to mean everything, and now a caution here would be a little bit of a devastation.
Oh, a caution here would be a detriment for a lot of racers up and down this grid. You know, when it comes to a situation like this where green flag pit stops seem to be imminent for all of these racers, it's the best way I could describe it is getting a wishbone and trying to break it in half. What you got right there is you're never going to have both sides be exactly 100% even. One is going to be longer than the other. Looks like all these racers will have a longer first stint than the second. And I think that may be the good strategy call. Personally, if it were me, I would want to have a bit more tire life come time for the end of this. These drivers will be bolting on the last set of good gears that they have to their disposal. So if they have bad tires right at the end of this, they are not going to be in a good spot at all. Adam Benefield, though, not in a good spot in the slightest, dropping down like a rock. You can see those racers on new tires blowing these drivers' doors off as it stands currently. They got to make that call to come down pit lane here soon. That is, without question or shadow of a doubt, the reason why we're seeing such a strong pace disparity. But at the same time, in a situation like this where you've got cars that are considerably quicker than others, you have to wonder if that potentially increases a chance of a yellow coming out because of incident. You know, it's like a lap traffic sort of deal, as there's a car very slow. That's your race leader of Cameron Stone, and he's coming down pit lane.
The longer you hold out on this run, the faster you'll be on the second half of the run. If drivers can behave around here, they might get some huge benefits from waiting. Benefield now takes over the lead. I'm hearing more pitting in commands on the radio. I can't tell you who they are, but you know, it's a bit of a hornet's nest out here. Drivers slowing and drivers trying to get around each other. We're all behaving each other so well, but entry and exit, there's almost no apron to play with. I mean, just look at how low that car exits. Here's Johnny Avila. He looked a little bit sideways mid-corner, hanging in there. This is going to be a little bit of a back and forth here between who stops first, Avila or Benefield. Benefield started 11th. He's now leading the race and in with a chance to win. Avila started second, but he's had a much bigger journey to get here, one could say. I think first one stops triggers the other, but they're probably holding on to each other's bumpers, but wondering who's going to blink first.
Yeah, waiting for one more driver to blink. Yes, this is Benefield blinking. Here he comes down pit lane. That looks a little bit quick there. You can see the smoke coming up in the air as he locks up the front, trying to get Woad up to pit lane speed. I think Benefield may have gone away with one there as he comes into the pit 62 laps after the last time he did. Gonna give him a nice 45 lap long run through the fall of the checkered flag. That's 63 miles on a set of tires. May not seem like a lot, and that's because it isn't a lot, but this track is a huge cheese grater on these tires. I think I said earlier on in the show, you'd probably be better off just shooting at one of these Goodyears with a long rifle than running around here. A lot of truth is said and just. You can just see it as we ride on board with your race leader of Avila, trying to run around this track with tires that are worn down to the canvas. He's skating around like a dog on a freshly polished wood floor, trying to keep it on the road right now. You can see just about everybody inside the top 10 has yet to come down pit lane ever since that yellow a little bit earlier on. Connor Cunningham has come into the pits. He's actually the highest running of the drivers who have come down pit lane right now, albeit he's already been on those tires for 12 laps. As we see another moment from Avila. You know, you don't think these drivers are running too slow on these old tires until you see someone out there on new tires, and then it's like watching... The best way I could describe it, it's like watching an infant try and play golf versus a professional golf player try and play golf. You could just see that disparity so bluntly.
I can't believe he's hanging on to the car. He's hitting the wall around now. I mean, every turn seems to be a struggle. It won't turn. Here comes Avila. He's going to make his pit stop, and this is going to put him behind the others, I think. That's a black flag for Johnny Avila. You saw the smoke. He sped into pit lane. That's his second black flag, and that's his race over.
Oh, and talk about a twist here. The driver who's been oh so dominant here made his way up to the front after a penalty earlier on. He's now going to have to be on the comeback tour once again. He got kicked in one shin. Now he's gotten kicked in the other. Let's see. He's mega sideways down through turn number 3 and 4. Tries to get Woad up. You can see it just locking up desperately. I think he probably had all 4 locked up, trying to get Woad up there, and just simply could not. So that's one car taking out of it. Now let's see who's going to pick up the pieces.
Another race of Johnny Avila, who doesn't have a win this season, being fast enough for it and getting hit by, as you would like to say, falling anvils. Now, only 5 cars sit at the top of this pack yet to change their tires. Kyle Amon, Bryson Hixenbar, Austin Evie, Noah Woods, and Mason Lowry. Everyone else has stopped at some point during this race. The lead will be inherited by Connor E. Cunningham. When the drivers come back out, he made the earliest scheduled pit stop, and he's been using the long run pace of those newer tires well. But Cameron Stone has much fresher ones already. There's 9 laps on him, and that's the pass done. Connor will be dropping now. I think he knows he's going to be dropping now. It's just about holding on to any places that he can. Ken Rahn, by the way, also black flagged on entry.
So the pit lane penalties, as we kind of expected with this green flag run of stops, certainly piling up, but I cannot say what it was, but there's something about that number 78 car of Connor Cunningham that was sticking out to me. And yeah, as it stands right now, he'd be on track to be running P2 once we get all the pit stops taken care of. As it stands right now, Kyle Amon, Bryson Hixenball, Austin Evie, Noah Woods, and Mason Lowry yet to make that call to come down pit lane. I think Lowry may be coming in right now. I think I saw him slow down on the other apron. So I think we may end up seeing him make that call to come into the pits here in the not too far off future. These racers putting in a marathon stint here. What they're trying to do is they're trying to set themselves up as best as they can if there is a late yellow, which I can't rule out at all. Let's see if these racers will be able to make a strategy call like that work. I'm certainly not against it. These racers are thinking, you know what? There's not too much I can do from my current spot right now. I may as well throw something at the wall to see if it sticks. Now, let's see if it's a sticky ball they're throwing at the wall, or whether or not they're trying to throw their leftovers from a couple of days ago at the wall. If that's stuck, I would have to be questioning these drivers' diets. Bryson Exenball, though, still holding on to P2. He's chasing down Kyle Lehman, and we're seeing these cars skate around the track like there is absolutely no tomorrow. It's like someone in a pair of normal shoes trying to run down a bowling alley.
And I've been trying to work out the maths on exactly how many tyre sets are left. I think everyone has an extra if I think about this one carefully. First caution, we call that one fake caution. So no stops on that. We have 4 sets in total. Set 1, we started in. Set 2, we changed to on the first day. Set 3, we changed to on the next stage. And yeah, the final set has been used in this stage. So these drivers are trying to hold out. If they can hold out, maybe it's a case of like Bryson here. He's playing a bit Hail Mary, yeah? He sort of knows his race is over from his pace. He's not going to be able to chase back up to the front. And if he has to stop here, his race is as over as it was. So the best he can do is pray that something bad happens behind him. And if it does, he has the fresh tyres and it's a free win. Or at least a free win for one of these 5 drivers. I think that's the game they're playing. They know that if they have to stop, there's nothing left in it for them. But this is a track that produces errors. Usually, I mean, I'm really shocked. I'm really shocked we've not had a single caution-causing incident on the circuit. So I know what they're holding on for. It makes so much sense. They've just come up quite unlucky this time.
Yeah, so unfortunately the luck not really working out for some of these racers. That's one thing that you have to worry about in a series like this where you have such a long race. One bit of bad luck, it could really cost you and your result at the end of it all. I am dumbfounded these racers have been able to push nearly 80 laps out of these tires. What are their tires made out of? They had to have stolen them off of Fred Flintstone's car, because this is fantastic that we're seeing brilliant tire management. I mean, granted, it probably feels like they're driving around on tubs coated in Vaseline, but you gotta crack a couple eggs to make an omelet. Here's a 42. That's Mason Lowry. He's now dropping down the running order outside the top 10. Connery Cunningham, he's dropping down as well. Is he coming down pit lane yet again? There's a 68 of Noah Woods coming in from 4th, but Connor Cunningham just dropped down a couple of moments ago. Not sure what the deal was for him. He's certainly on older tires compared to some of the racers around him. But yeah, that was rather strange. Just dropped down to P11, so something strange must have gone on for the 78.
Got to keep an eye on it here. I just think he got a little bit mobbed, washed super wide, and that's all his pace just sort of transferred to nothing. We're seeing the end of the Hail Mary strat now. Noah Woods is in, Daniel Llewellyn's in, only 3 drivers to go, and they're not going to be able to hold on forever. Bryson's been doing a great chase of Kyle Amon here, but I think both of them know they're just playing run till the tank is empty. One of them has to stop at a couple laps time if the rest are going for it. Behind them, that is Benefiel trying to get his lap back. I mean, that's a difference in pace, yeah, in that now drivers that stopped have been running for 18 laps are still able to get their lap back on you. So that's how god-awful the pace is here among Bryson Exenball's car. The tyres don't even exist anymore. It's been a valiant attempt to wait out a yellow. I just don't think it's worked today.
Yeah, no, at this point, there's only so much you can do to try and salvage a race like this. And for these racers, I guess they're trying to set their own record, or they're doing like an old F1 YouTuber video game challenge and trying to see who can drive until the tires explode. That's basically what we've got going on at the present moment. Let's see who's going to pop first. Exenball, you can see him running up the hill. That's Tim Phillips in the 27 car. Just blew his doors off, heading his way off through 3 and 4. That car fixed them all. Let's see, minimum speed off through the turn, 132, 131, I think was the slowest speed that I saw out of there. Austin Evie, he's made the call to come down pit lane from P3 in this race. Eric Wineland currently slotted in at P6. He's see, it's so absurd. We've got drivers who have come down pit lane at reasonable periods of time that are already 30 laps on their race on their tires, as we now finally see Bryson Exenball come down pit lane and put some rubber on that car. 84 laps, the stint length for your current P2 runner. Obviously going to drop down like a rock and get overtaken by Cameron Stone. And Kyle Wayman also going to make that call to come down pit lane as well. So 85, nearly 86 laps on these tires. Holy, I mean, we'll have to see how they can charge up through the field at the end of this race. But talk about a stint length. Holy cow.
It was about all they had left in them, I think. I think they knew that the long-run pace wasn't good enough, and now it's just going to be a game of, can you hold on for long enough to have something external happen and have you gain that finish? It was a valiant attempt, and you have to be very, very good at holding on to get the tank empty on a track like this. It's shredding your stuff up. Now the race is sort of settled back down, and as it's settled back down, we can see the gaps are significant. Cameron Stone and Adam Benefield with 1.7 seconds, and then another second back to Wineland, then 2 back to Shoefield. I'm even saying it like you are now. And it's Paget and Root are the next closest ones to chase. They are having a bit of a battle of their own, but now everyone's going to have slightly different tyre life. Jim is the one on the longest running tyres, 32 laps. He probably will have a pace drop-off in the coming laps.
Yeah, if I can change the pronunciations of you, Howie, this will be very interesting. I'll get you to say water, even though as a Philadelphian, I don't even say it like that. It's water, not water. I have never heard anybody in my life. That is a court. Bottle of water. Good evening, everybody. Welcome here. Bottle of water. Oh boy. We've got about 20 laps left to go here in this race. I don't know why I sound like Ozzy Osbourne there for a couple of moments. Cameron Stone still leads over Adam Benefield. Eric Wineland started in third. Jim Shoefield slotted in fourth. Mark Patchett runs at top 5 at the present moment. Now, I would break into a southern accent, but I'm not sure how well that would go over here at the end of this race. You know, funnily enough, I got in trouble about a week ago on a show that I was doing for some rather interesting reasons with the action going on right now. Howie, I'll put it in your hands whether or not I should share that on this broadcast.
I mean, go ahead. I feel like you've teed me up now.
I think I may have potentially told you this on the Monday Formula 1600 SOF race that we cover here on Maconi Entertainment every single Monday afternoon. That was about as slick as 80 grit sandpaper when it comes to plugs here on this channel. As a move potentially from Mark Paget and Jim Shoefield, they had their way down into turn number 1 and 2. Looks like that's going to be a successful move, and Raymond Roots looking to get something to work as well. But very interesting to raise this discussion as I'm covering a NASCAR Xfinity race. If anyone's been following the rumor mill in Formula One, there's been some rumors surrounding everyone's favorite, Maximilian Verstappen, about him potentially leaving Red Bull Racing and moving to Mercedes. And if any of you are aware, Max owns an esports team, Team Redline. So I had the fantastic opportunity to be on the Spa 24 broadcast on the iRacing Esports Network this past week, and yeah, I'm going to hold off on that story as we may have a battle for the lead flaring up here as Cameron Stone squiggled a little bit coming out of 3 and 4, and here comes Adam Benefield to try and jump into the race lead. He gets it done, but Stone with a bit of a snap at the turn. Here we go, side by side yet again, but the shoes on the other foot. Benefield looking to jump into the race lead and hold on to it. Stone not able to get that move done on him. Then sub 17. That's Wineland, who's a little bit farther back, trying to get in that. That's not Wineland, my apologies. That's Kyle Amon, your current P11 runner. He's on much newer tires. Now he's officially on the lead lap, the last car on the lead lap, in fact. But Cameron Stone losing out on the race lead. Perfect time for me to break out into a story about how it's probably not the best idea to say every single time during an iRacing Top Split special event broadcast, every single time someone asks whether or not Max Verstappen is running in that split, to say no, Max is not running in his team with the BMW because he's more focused on getting himself a Mercedes. And that's how I got told by the other people over at the iRacing Esports Network that I should probably stop.
Oh, I wouldn't play any risks on that channel, but I respect that you did take risks on that channel. That's fantastic. That's
See, I thought it was funny.
I think that was
and
very funny.
It was the first 10
and I could
times.
also see why they would tell you to eventually shut up. So, you know, I see both ends of the equation there. But, you know, That's the sort of wit we need more of. Let me tell you that.
I mean, there's only so many times that you can get asked during a special event broadcast, is Max racing in this, before you decide to come back with a comment of your own. That, I mean, it's not necessarily wrong. I mean, on Twitter that day, there were people saying Max Verstappen's on Toto Wolff's super yacht. He may be signing a deal today. Of course, I had to say that on that show. And, you know, obviously, I'm not an F1 pundit. I barely make enough money to afford Greek yogurt. But, you know, what can you do? Side-by-side racing currently going on involving Mark Paget and Jim Shoefield. And you can tell that was a close quarters moment based off the sound, the fact that it sounded like I sat on another cold toilet seat. Holy cow, that was some close quarter stuff as they had their way out of the term Paget. Now jumping his way up into fourth, but he needs to stay out of the wall if he can remain in that spot.
Approaching the end of this race, and I gotta say, I will consider this, like, officially the records won't consider this a perfectly green race to the end, but I think in our heart of hearts we can consider this a perfectly green race to the end. And if we did, I mean, for one of the hardest tracks on the schedule, that is extraordinary. They've put on some amazing work and some amazing driving. I would have wrecked the thing about 5 times over. Next week on the schedule, we're still heading up some ovals. It's Indianapolis, then it's Iowa, and then we're back on the road courses one more time for the Glen. So, very different styles of track on the way. We do have a full Daytona day as well on the way, so I'm sure we'll be having plenty of yellow heavy races, but this has been an example of the talent of this field.
Yeah, they've been keeping it smooth. They've been keeping it calm, cool, and collected ever since the drop of the green flag about an hour and a half ago. And Jim Shoefield, who we follow right now, he's had his moments for sure with some sideways snaps that have made me elicit sounds out of my mouth that I'm not really necessarily sure sound remotely human at all. But hey, been a wild race for him. Looks like he's going to finish inside the top 5. Bryson Extenball on those newer tires. He's on the hard charge, though. Let's see what sort of lap times he can set right towards the end. I think Brendan Hastings, to invoke a little bit 1960s TV soap opera terminology, he's got to be chopped liver here. He may drop down to P8 as here comes Hexenball down the inside of him. Book it. He's through into 7th. We'll have to try and claw up about a 5-second gap between himself and Raymond Root to make up any more spots in the final 6 laps of this race. That's going to be a very, very tough ask, even though Tire is huge in this race. I feel like that may be a little bit too much to try and bite off. 4.4 seconds currently the gap. Yeah, I'm not really sure if he'll be able to close that up in the span of 5 laps, but Benefiel, he's pulling away from Cameron Stone, and it will potentially be a return to victory lane for the first time for him since the start of April.
A long time coming, but this is one of those tracks where it's no fluke. You earn it, and you have to know a lot about how to drive these Xfinity cars and how to handle the weight shift through the corners in order to really nail a lap around here. So it's a well-earned race. I think Avila had a shot, but 2 race control errors doesn't make just small little things you can do now. It makes a bit of a race ruin, and it's going to need to be evaluated later down the line. Wineland's been very fast. He's always been competitive, but this final portion of the race, he dropped off just a little. He started 15th, though, so he's going to enjoy a P3. That'll be a very, very good finish. And Benefield started in 11th in order to make it up to victory lane, so don't say there's no way to get around people here at Dover. Cameron Stone now dropped off, and I think if there's the last chance for a pass is Wineland here, but it's going to have to take a send of the century. It's unlikely.
Yeah, they'd have to be some stones on Eric Wineland. They both end up on the wall. Heading out of there, that was big-time stuff as they headed their way out of turn number 4. The white flag in the air for Adam Benefield. One more lap of racing action, and thankfully for these two, only one more lap with probably a significant amount of damage on their race cars as well. That was some pretty major hits for the both of them. But as he heads his way through turn number 4, Adam Benefield, for the first time since the Darlington race, all the way back in April, going to grab the checkered flag here at the end of this race. Is that actually
Barney's
a little bit
not interested.
Yeah.
No, they do have the checkered, just Barney's just not interested in... Barney's slacking! That is the checkered. I can hear it on the radio. I mean, Barney is slacking.
What in the world? The iRacing flag man. He didn't give a fork.
Barney, a race is finished.
Yeah, Barney, come on, throw the checkered flag, man. Dang it. Alrighty, let's see Adam Benefield try and burn it down. One of the most challenging parts of Dover is trying to burn it down without hitting the wall. I mean, it works if you're Jimmy Johnson back in 2011, but outside of that, I think it's a little bit iffy. But here comes Benefield burning it down the apron. Certainly earned it after a very, very good drive and a very good move there from him on Cameron Stone. Caught me right in the midst of a story. I apologize about that, but, you know, gotta share some anecdotes to keep it fun, but those drivers kept it fun out there as well. Adam Benefield gonna grab the checkered flag at the end of this race, and very well earned win for him as well. It's well earned all the time when you're running at this place.
It's amazing that you can pull it off every time. I mean, I just about hold on for my dear life when I consider that good enough. Here's a view of Miles the Monster as we come across our finishing results. Adam Benefield takes the win over Cameron Stone with Eric Wineland in P3. Mark Paget is in 4th with Jim Schofield in 5th. Raymond Root in 6th. Ahead of Bryson Hickson-Barr, who did make quite the comeback, I think, on those tyres. Kyle Amon, who also made quite the comeback after that black flag. Brandon Hastings and Connor Cunningham. Oh no, it's Avila who had the black flag. Yeah, well, just forget me.
Yeah, we all have our moments. I have mine basically by the minute, so don't worry about one bit, Howie. But Austin Evie will finish in P11 in front of Hunter Troll. Those two round out the cars that finished this race on the lead lap. Noah Woods, the first car, 1 lap down in lucky number P13. It'll be Mason Lowry being classed in P14. Tim Phillips will round out your top 15. Timothy Cook Jr. had a wild up and down race. Will finish in P16, but not nearly as wild as Johnny Avila. He had the chance to grab the checkered flag and win this race. Instead, he is the final car, 1 lap down. Tanner Marty, the first of the ones, 2 laps down in P18. Ken Ron in 19th. Daniel Wallen in the 07 car is classed in P20. Brian Workman will finish in 21st in front of Steve Benjamin. Charles Velasquez Jr. won the other early good racers in this race. Will end up being one of the early retirees as well in P23. Rory Collins in 25th, Cody Bird in 25th, Michael Deach in P26. The rest of the drivers did not take the start here in this race. Not sure why Joseph McWhorter didn't take the start there. Did we get word as to why McWhorter did not take the green flag there? Because for the driver that won at Pocono, the track not too terribly far away from Dover, a little bit interesting that he didn't even bother taking the start.
I'm not sure, but in order to assuage any rumours, any mistakes here today were made simply because I was taking the race myself. You couldn't see. I mean, I was on the grid as well. So that makes it 2 for 2. We do have some drivers hoping to speak to us, but currently we only have one of them, Eric Wineland. So we'll do this in reverse order. I'll leave you with him first.
Yeah, I think we'll bring in Eric Wineland to have a chat. Eric, welcome here into the broadcast booth. Well done on the P3 result here at Dover. How about you talk us through the challenges of what looked like a very wild race for all of you?
Yeah, absolutely, Ron. This place, it's monster for a reason. Miles the Monster eats up your tires if you don't take care of them throughout the day, and it was definitely an attrition on that front of things. Regardless, I'm so happy and proud of the field to not bring a yellow out tonight, so we can kind of let the race play out. I'm very happy and proud of myself here because that was very minimal practice all week for me. It was literally the practice session we had attached to this that I was able to finally turn my first laps. So to take the number 87 drafty car to the front and get a podium out of it, definitely more of what I should have this season. Unfortunately, we've had some run-ins with someone that's taken away some good finishes, but this helps make up for that a little bit, Ron. So hopefully we can keep ourselves in the playoff picture with a good cushion of points.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you about that. Entered this race here tonight, P11 in the playoff standings, about 67 points north of that playoff cut line. Some racers right behind you did not have nights that were better than you, and others ahead did not even take the start here in this race. So, how do you feel about the playoff situation heading into the final few races here in the regular season?
A little bit better now. We were 67 good coming in, which is a healthy gap, but also we're 11th out of the 12 that will qualify. So any new winners in there, or if Cameron, whom I'm guessing probably got himself up into the top 25, takes a playoff spot back. So that puts us in not so great of a spot. Regardless, I needed a run like this. I'm going to be missing from next week at Indy because I'm going to be away on vacation. So taking a week off, maybe might be able to start in park. But regardless, this is good momentum for getting back on the ovals, and hopefully the rest of the push toward the playoffs, we can keep this sort of quality run up here the rest of the season run.
So you will be skipping out on Indy, but we'll hopefully be able to see you out there on the racetrack for Iowa in about 2 weeks' time. Another rather bumpy short track. So what are your thoughts heading off to there in the not too far off future?
Iowa's a fun track. I haven't run it in a while though, so I don't know if they've done any sort of update to it. I certainly have not gotten onto the racetrack yet. It's a tough one because you feel like you can move around a little bit there, but at the same time, you got to be very disciplined through the corners to not burn your stuff off there, just like we had here at Dover. Iowa's not a concrete racetrack, but still can really wear yourself down if you push too hard too early. So I'm looking forward to it, and then we get back on the road at Watkins Glen, and then Daytona looming overhead about a month out. So regardless, I'm excited for what we got coming down the pipeline.
And looking forward to seeing what you will be able to do as we get to the end of this regular season. Eric, thank you for joining us here in the commentary booth, and we'll let you give any thanks or shouts out before we let you go.
Yeah, massive thank you to Drafty Car. Brian Blackford, what he does for that game and development is awesome. Stay tuned. I know we are potentially looking at PC release. There's been some hints of that coming in the pipeline for Drafty Car, so keep an eye out on Steam for that sort of thing. I may or may not have had some fun with Black and the guys that are developing it. It's looking good. Massive shout out and thank you to Kirk Mills and Mark Padgett as well. Us three independents. We don't work together on setups, but we work together in the races. And for us to get a 3-4 tonight and go up against the guys like the Team Conti and Premier Setup Shop and Precision Speed Shop, I think as well, is a newcomer. Those setup shops for us to be able to compete there on is a good time. So proud of Mark and myself, and looking forward to the rest of the season. Thank you guys.
And looking forward to seeing you hit the racetrack again in 2 weeks' time at Iowa. Eric, thank you for joining us here in the commentary booth, and well done on the P3 here at Dover. And that right there was Eric Wineland, the driver of the number 87 car, your P3 finisher at the end of this race. And Howie, I'll let you have the opportunity to have a chat with our P2 finisher of Cameron Stone.
Cameron Stone, fantastic battling throughout this race, but you fell just about short. Talk us through how that ran for you.
If I ever get my hands on the guy that made the short fuel or the auto fuel thing like default in iRacing, I'm probably choking to death because that's what happened to me. The car was pretty good. It had kind of a slidey, loose feel off of turn 4, which is kind of what I like around this place. Just kind of slide it up next to the wall, but wind was blowing weird across the track, so it was pushing everybody off of turn 2. So, I mean, no matter really what you did on that side of the track, it was tight, but it felt really good through 3 and 4. I was gaining gobs of time over there. And then we come down at the end of the race, about 50 or so to go, and, they put 7 gallons less of fuel in the car, and that just made it ungodly tight. So by the time Adam got to me there close to the end of the race, I had nothing to fight with him. So just didn't plan for short fueling and didn't make an adjustment, and that made all the difference.
Aside from acts of God, this field was able to run green all the way to the end. So that's not usually typical around this place. Were you having a good time knowing that nothing bad was going to happen behind you?
Yeah, I was, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little worried there in stage 3, because the deal that happened with the caution in stage 1 was a carryover from our last road course race with a random yellow coming out. But I was worried about that happening again, and then I was also worried about, when guys are trying to get on pit road, because getting on pit road here is kind of treacherous. So try to run it past halfway just a little bit to see guys, enter and exit pit road and make sure that nothing crazy was going to happen. But I think that's just a testament to this league. We have tough tracks that we go to every week. This is one of the toughest ones, and guys were able to run clean here. We didn't really have any incidents for calls for 200 whole laps. So that's pretty dang good.
And before we move on at the end of tonight, do you have any other thanks or shout outs?
Yeah, I got to give a big shout out to Team Conti Sim Performance. Real fast car that finished second and should have won, and the car that finished first and probably deserved to win even more. Both Team Conti cars. So shout out to Nick Ottinger for building that. Real fast stuff. Shout out to Adam. He drove a great race. He had a chance to take me out there in stage 1 and stage 2, and I was just talking to him before I got up in here, and he was like, yeah, I didn't want to take you out. I know you're trying to get some points in here. So appreciate him for that. Shout out to Bryson. Kyle had a really good run tonight, Kyle Ammon. Mason Lowry finished the race, so shout out to him. Shout out to Jason doing race control tonight. Bobby for bringing the league back. You guys up there in the booth. Had a buddy of mine, Tyler Cassidy, watching the race tonight. So appreciate him checking us out. Looking forward to next week. I don't even know where we're running next week. I guess we go to the big track at Indy, so that'll be a big change from this one. So just appreciate everybody that's watching the broadcast. Appreciate everybody that builds the sets and watches and supports us every week.
Well, a good race, and I guess we hope to see you up near a victory lane with the correct fuel count next time around.
Yeah, we're going to uncheck that next week.
That was Cameron Stone, and that leaves us right direct into the motor coach, and then he sent himself right back at the Winfield Care Centre, so he knows where he wants to be. I'll leave you with our race with Adam Benefield.
And Adam Benefield now joining us here in the commentary booth. Adam, the wait is over for win number 3. Welcome back to Victory Lane here at Dover. How did you talk us through that race?
Yeah, patience paid off, I guess. Car was good. I mean, it was a long race, long green flag run, so that was kind of right up my alley. That's kind of how I like to drive, is take care of it at the beginning and be there on the long run. And well, us having only 4 sets of tires, that kind of played right into my hand. So I knew what I had to do. I knew what the game plan was from the get-go. And sorry if y'all hear that in the background. My son's playing video games with buddies, but that played into our hands, and we just had to take our time and let everybody burn their stuff up and pick them off one at a time.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the tire game. When we saw entering this race right before the broadcast, the fact that there was 4 sets of tires that y'all had to work with from the drop of the green all the way through to the fall of the checkered. I was thinking we're going to have ourselves like a 2008 Brickyard 400 situation. These tires are going to be destroyed. But I want to ask you about how it was trying to manage the tires around a track that, let's face it, is not very friendly when it comes to the tires on these cars.
I mean, for me, it was, that's kind of been my forte over the years. That's always something that's been very strong for me, is saving and managing tires throughout a run. I'm not like Eric or Johnny or Cam or anything like that. I'm not going to be that guy that's going to go out there and lay down the fast lap at the beginning of a fuel run or beginning of the race. Like I'm that guy that you're going to see losing probably 2 or 3 spots every restart, because I manage my stuff, and I know how abrasive this track is. This has always been, one of the tracks where tires have been massive, and It's always been a good track for me. So, yeah, for some it was hard. I could tell. You race with the guys a lot. You can kind of tell when they're using their stuff up, and you know what their tendencies are. And I know Cam, when Cam's got the league, he's relentless. He's going to race to live and piss out of anybody that tries to take it away from him. So I was just sitting there, waiting for the opportunity to present itself.
And I was able to play the patient game here in this race as well. And it works out well for you. Win number 3 of this season, keeping the streak going at the tracks that are quite different than just about everything else on the calendar. You won earlier on this season at Martinsville and Darlington back-to-back. You win here at Dover. Heading off to Indy in 1 week's time. There's really nothing like the Brickyard. There was one thing like the Brickyard, but that track was in Southern California, and they tore it down back in the 80s. So that's going to be a unique race in 1 week's time. What are your thoughts heading off to it?
So 3 wins at 3 driver tracks. That's what you're saying?
Yeah. Well
okay.
we'll
Bryson
right
Higginball ain't that great, is he? Oh, and the sour mayonnaise comment? Yeah, I heard it.
I'm not sure if it was sour. It was expired mayonnaise.
Expired mayonnaise, whatever the jab was. It was a good one. It was good.
And hey, all you need is a little bit of mixing to get back to form. And that's what happened here in this race on the bumps. Yeah,
that's right. There you go. No, Indy's fun. I'm glad we're going back there. That's another track that I absolutely love to race. 4 different corners. Yeah, you get into a good rhythm there. You can, separate yourself and kind of have a smooth race. So hopefully we can do that. I know Team Conti Sim Performance will have something dialed up pretty sporty, so just got to show up and try to capitalize.
And looking forward to seeing that number 83 car fight for victory in 1 week's time at Indy. Adam, we'll let you give any thanks or shout out before we let you go.
Yeah, just everybody at TCSP. Big shout out to Hastings. What did he finish? 9th or 10th or something like that. So good top 10 for him. And also we not gonna lie, we kind of chased balance a little bit. There in the end of stage 1 into stage 2, and it was all him. So big thanks to him. Thanks to y'all for broadcasting. And Bobby and Jason and Bryson Higginball for bringing the league back and doing all this. So, I don't know. Yeah. Thanks to everybody.
And thank you as well for joining us here in the commentary.
Oh, 1 second. Hold on. I'm sorry. I got to give a shout out. I don't know her. I have absolutely no idea who she is, but I know she's tied to the 71 car, and that's Ashley. I seen her comment last week in the YouTube chat that said the 83 took out the 71 and blew his motor. I'm so sorry, Ashley. I did not mean to do it. It was an honest mistake. So, please accept my apology for that. I'm sorry. I had to get that off my chest.
Hey, no, all right, man. I mean, this commentary booth briefly turned into a confessional, but hey, we'll take it either way. Adam, thank you for joining us here in the commentary booth. Well done on the win here at Dover, and I will mind my P's and Q's in comparing you to various grocery store condiments throughout the rest of the season.
I appreciate it, man.
And that right there was Adam Benefiel, your race winner at the end of this race. Hey, the expired mayonnaise won it all at the end of the day. But no, fantastic stuff for Benefiel. And it was a fantastic race here at Dover. And we actually have some updated playoff points to take a look at before we wrap up this show, as was mentioned by Eric Wineland, because he has now broken himself back up into the top 25 in points. Cameron Stone, who won a little bit earlier on in this season at Charlotte, has now entered that playoff window. We'll have to keep some good races running through to be able to get there at the end of this regular season, which is coming up in the not too far off future. Kirk Mills, our Maconi Entertainment colleague, in fact, dropping outside the playoff window, so that will be a titanic battle with himself and Mark Paget for the final spot as it stands right now. We'll just have to see how things shake out for the rest of this regular season, looking through the tracks left to go in the next 6 races before we round off off this regular season. Indy, Iowa, Watkins Glen, Daytona, Portland, and Gateway to end off this regular season. 2.5 milers, 2 short-ish tracks in the case of Iowa and Gateway, and 2 road courses as well. So, Howie, we had 2 duos battling for the win here in this race throughout the first 2 stages and the final 2 tire stints. And now we've got 2 of 3 with the other tracks coming up. So I have a feeling that we're in for a really good end to the regular season.
So much diversity. I think these playoffs are going to be explosive with the drivers we have in them, and there's still plenty to battle for. So you may want to tune in tomorrow to the full-length Cup Challenge where we get to do more of the same, but keep an eye on your Friday night lights because the racing here is getting good.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff to look forward to here on Maconi Entertainment this upcoming week. Of course, tomorrow night you'll be able to catch the action from the full-length Cup Challenge running here at Dover. You'll be able to catch Kirk Mills and Harold Pell, Mr. JP, Mr. Justin Prince on the call for that. The Door-to-Door Sim Racing League will be running this upcoming Sunday as well at this exact same racetrack. Then come time for the week, we've got you covered with the FF 1600 official Strength of Field race this upcoming Friday. This upcoming Monday, Friday, you'll be able to see the action from this series at Indy, and also the next race from Maconi Entertainment's Fast Fridays monthly money race. That'll be with some NASCAR trucks action. So that'll be a good race to tune into. And speaking of trucks, you'll be able to see the action from the Racers Elite Truck League running at Auto Club this upcoming Tuesday as well. A lot of stuff to look forward to here on Maconi Entertainment. Gives you a good reason to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the racing action. But as for this broadcast here tonight for round number 20 of the 2025 Friday Night Lights Xfinity Series season here at Dover, that will do it. So for myself, Ron Mullins, and Howie Burrows working the comms and the cams with me on tonight's broadcast, I say thank you all so very much for tuning into the show here on Maconi Entertainment tonight.